Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Pharmacy Podcast with your hosts, myself, Yaz, and Jin. Today, we have a super special pharmacist on today, who actually I've known since she was a baby pharmacist. So I'm really excited to have her on today. Her name is Megna, and she is a medicines consultant plus an Ayurvedic specialist. So we're going to dive right into the conversation today with us three. So hi Megna, thank you so much for coming on, and we're really excited to have you. So let's just dive right in and start with, do you want to tell us just about your career journey, how you got into pharmacy, and take us right in.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on. My journey, wow. So I started off as a pharmacist, and funny enough, I didn't actually want to do pharmacy when I was at school, and I had so many pharmacists in the family, and I just was like, I don't want to be a pharmacist. There's too many pharmacists around. But I got into pharmacy. I started off my career in Hillingdon. I did my pre-reg, band 6, band 7, and I don't know, as soon as I qualified, I just felt like there was something more. Like writing a drug history on pen and paper, I was like, oh, surely there's got to be a better way around this. And I still stuck through for like 5 years. I was at Hillingdon, but towards the end of it, I just got really like fed up in a way. I was like, okay, I need to find something else that I'm more passionate about. And funny enough, I actually left my job as a band 7 before I came across my next job. So I was kind of applying for jobs while I was working, but I just found it was too draining. Like I was so tired, and I wasn't really putting enough energy into my applications and stuff. So I ended up just leaving my job. And I feel like it was a great decision because it kind of opened up new possibilities for me. And that's when I came across different roles. That's when I came across EPMA, so electronic prescribing. So I got my first role as an EPMA pharmacist in that period. During my notice period, actually, is when I got the job. So I wasn't actually jobless for any time in that section. And it was scary, but I think being a pharmacist, we can always locum. So at the back of my head, I was like, okay, if I really need money, I'll just go into locuming, whether that's community, hospital, like there's other options out there. So yeah, I came across EPMA and I loved it ever since. I felt like it was just the forward way, like, you know, looking at technology, how technology can improve healthcare. It was just something I was really passionate about. So I've had about 3 different EPMA roles, and I've learned different things in all those different areas. And then I'm now working as a meds consultant for Oracle, who supply software to hospitals. So I work with hospitals to help implement these softwares. So yeah, that's my journey.
That's amazing. So you mentioned so many amazing things in that paragraph, and I just kind of want to unpick. Right, we're going to start right from the beginning because that's what we like to do, don't we? We like to dig a little. So you mentioned you didn't want to be a pharmacist in the beginning because you had loads in the family, which is, you know, normal for some families. So take us through that kind of part where I guess it probably around A-level time or something. You know, what you were thinking about. How did you deduce that, okay, actually maybe this is the role I should do, and then, you know, take us through that kind of like process.
So I really enjoyed maths and science, especially maths. Like I just loved maths so much. I think because it gets you straight to an answer. Like, you know, you don't have to, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you get to the answer one way or the other, and that's the answer. So I loved maths, but then I didn't really know what I could do with a career in maths. Like I could have done maths at uni, but then I guess being a maths teacher or something, it wasn't something that I felt was right for me. I did enjoy science as well. I ended up doing 3 sciences for A-levels, and then I dropped physics. AS, and then I dropped physics for A-levels. But I think I enjoyed helping people and science. So that's the 2 things that made me think, okay, what should I do? So initially I wanted to do optometry because I was interested in eyes and I just thought that was fascinating. But my A-levels weren't as great as they should have been, so I didn't get accepted to my unis. But I do think everything happens for a reason, because right now I can't imagine being an optometrist. And then it kind of led me, being a pharmacist also kind of led me to my next steps in terms of Ayurveda, which we will touch on as well. But yeah, so I applied for optometry, I didn't get in, and then my brother's a pharmacist as well, so he was trying to explain to me that there's so many other options. It's not just hospital and community, like there's so many other things you can do in pharmacy. And I had a few friends that were also going into pharmacy, and I thought, okay, it's also helping people and it's also related to science. So it's kind of the next thing that I thought, okay, let me give this a go. So yeah, that's how I got into pharmacy.
And I think that's really great because it kind of puts into context, that real world capability of, because I guess when you're at school, I don't know how you feel, Jin, when you're at school, it's quite hard to kind of envisage, you just have a load of subjects in front of you. It's hard to envisage, okay, how do these subjects translate to real world practicality?
Yeah, it's like you're meant to pick so young and you just have no clue.
Exactly.
I think I was meant to be a librarian.
I always wish
they do the questionnaire or something. So I think I talk too much for that.
I always wish there was a subject at school that goes into different careers, because it really would help.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, but that sounds amazing. So, okay, so fast forward a little bit, did pharmacy, did your pre-reg band 6, and started off your career at Hillingdon, and then you found yourself in the kind of IT direction. So I guess when you did was it rotational band 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. So doing your rotations, because I think typically a lot of pharmacists, are kind of, well, I know I did when I was doing my rotational 6. I couldn't choose one speciality because I actually really liked all of them. And Jin, same with kind of your role at the moment. You'll see all specialities.
Like a bit of everything, yeah.
Yeah. So how did
the variety is the spice of life.
Exactly. So how did you move? I guess how did you kind of figure that out having to feel like you're forced to pick a speciality versus you kind of broke the mold and sort of
So I think I was similar to you guys. Like I did different rotations and I was like, okay, which one do I like? I kind of like pediatrics, but I just couldn't imagine like doing one speciality full time as well. And I think it was just the clinical side that I did enjoy, but maybe it was my lack of confidence in the clinical aspect. But I don't know. I just felt like digital felt like when I realized digital was an option, I just felt that was more suited for me. I think I feel like I went through my clinical journey and I got to a stage where I've done all the rotations, well, most of the rotations. And then I was like, okay, what next? There was nothing that really, really stood out for me in terms of, okay, I really want to do this specialty.
Was there rotation in as a band 6 or 7 within EPMA, or was it once you moved over as a...
No, I didn't have a rotation because my trust at that point didn't have EPMA, but I know other hospitals have rotational EPMA pharmacists. I didn't even know what EPMA was, if I'm honest, while I was at Hillingdon.
I was going to say, for our listeners, can you just explain what EPMA is?
So EPMA stands for Electronic Prescribing and Medicines Administration. But it's basically a system, an electronic system that is used by doctors and nurses and pharmacists and all the healthcare professions to prescribe meds and administer meds in hospitals. So some hospitals used to do that on paper, so it would be a paper booklet and the doctor would write a prescription by hand. But that was basically my role as an EPMA pharmacist was helping transition from that paper to the digital world.
And you mentioned you then went into your EPMA role. So you had to apply for that role as a Band 8 lead pharmacist.
Yeah.
Like, how was that? Because it's like you didn't do any rotations in it, and then you're like now suddenly applying to a new role that essentially you have no experience in.
Yeah, definitely.
How was that?
Yeah, so I first reached out to, during my notice period when I was trying to figure out what I want to do, I reached out to a few people that did EPMA, literally went on LinkedIn and just searched for people and just randomly messaged them, and I got a few tips. But yeah, they kind of gave me some direction in terms of what the different roles do, what kind of stuff is involved. So it just made me get a better understanding of the job. And then I just applied, I used my same NHS application, but I obviously tailored it to EPMA. So put in, looked at the job spec, look at what skills I think I have, and kind of just tailor my job, my application towards EPMA. And it's funny because I applied for like different bandings. Like at this point, I was only a band 7 for a few months, so I didn't think I was ready for a band 8. So I actually applied for a few band 7 roles, a few band 8 roles. But the first band 8 role that I saw, it was in Dartford. At this point, I didn't even know where Dartford was. No offense to people that live in Dartford, but I didn't know where it was. But I thought, let me just apply. It's an
Just near the Dartford Tunnel.
Yeah, I did my band 6 at Dartford. How
Oh,
crazy
wow.
is that?
There you go. Yaz can enlighten us.
Amazing. So yeah, I just applied. I used my same band 7 application. I literally copied and pasted it for the 8A, thinking, oh, I won't get it. Like, I'm just going to apply and see if I get it. And then I got an interview and I was like, okay, I actually have to see where Dartford is now. And it was like it was like an hour and a bit drive for me without traffic. So I knew that would be a lot more with traffic. So at the back of my head, I was like, okay, even if I get this job, like, would I be able to go? And then I literally just take one step at a time. So I went to the interview. I was like, okay, let me go to the interview, see how I feel. And then, I got the job and I was like, okay, when I got it, I was like, okay, I just have to take it, because it was just felt like the right step for me. So I actually moved out to Kent for that job for that period.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
And what is it that if someone wanted to apply to an EPMA role, what kind of skills would you think that they'll need, like in the application, kind of what should they note down? Like, I don't know, the main kind of skills that would kind of set them out.
Okay, so I would say communication is key, because you're speaking to like not just the people that you maybe used to communicate in a clinical pharmacy role, but like it just expands. You might speak to IT people, different consultants that you might not have worked with before, but just, range of people so communication is important, especially when you're talking between the clinical and the digital world. Sometimes it's like a different language, so you need to be really clear with things. Organization and I guess time management. You're working on a project that has strict deadlines, so sometimes it's stressful and you're forced to like get things done on time. So I think those kind of skills really help. And even like your clinical skills and everything you've done working as a pharmacist, that really does help, because you know how the hospital works. Like at the end of the day, the people that use the EPMA systems, what it's like to be an end user. So I think that's, although it might not feel like an important aspect, that is quite a big aspect of it as well.
It's so amazing. So inspiring, isn't it? Yaz? Like, literally went into a new role, new area, didn't even know it existed, this area. Well, you did, but you don't know where it was. A completely different role.
Exactly.
And just, putting yourself out there and see what comes from it. So, and now look where you are. So it's amazing. Some little transitions like this, when you look back, it kind of, the dots line up and you think, oh, now it makes sense why I did what I did.
Exactly. And I kind of just really wanted to pick out on something that I think a lot of people struggle with, but you did it so amazingly. And that is just putting yourself out there, like having that courage, confidence to put yourself out there. So whether it was a role that you've never done before and you just went out and did it. So what kind of, I guess, key thing would you tell our listeners that if there's any role in any, sector, not just pharmacy, outside, wherever, where you would kind of, they've seen a job role, they want to apply for it, they have zero experience in this area. What kind of, would you give them any advice of how to kind of tackle that?
I would say just go for it, but with a but, because sometimes it could be really out your reach. So I would also always say, look at the job description and person spec and see what's on there. And if you don't have those skills yet, what can you do now to help you get those skills? Like, what can you do in your current role? Could you be exposed to different things? Could you be asked to be put on a project? Or like, what can you do now that can help you get that job in the future? Like, I guess for me, at that point, maybe actually, so on the job description, it actually said that you needed to have a diploma. And I hadn't completed my diploma, and I know my tutor was wanting me to. But again, this is where I kind of went away from the norm. Like, everyone was doing a diploma, and I knew deep down that I didn't want to stay in the clinical world. So I was like, what is a diploma going to do for me? Like, I'd rather do a digital diploma or something, a different course. So I think understanding what you want yourself deep down and doing things in line with that. So just because someone might have told you, oh, you should be doing a diploma, everyone else has done it, why haven't you? Think about your own goals and your journey, if that makes sense. I hope I answered that
honestly
question.
no, that's so like, it's like touching, because like we're in hospital at the moment, we're always taught to make sure you do a diploma, and like it's mandatory to work in London. It's not, but it's like it's essentially mandate. You come into the hospital and having to do it and complete it. And you just said that you didn't complete it. So for all those listeners that are, it's not in line with who they are and they feel like it's not down their career path, do you think it hindered you anyway by not completing it? And I'm talking about the clinical pharmacy kind of diploma in general pharmacy practice.
No, not. It's difficult because maybe back then there was less competition with EPMA roles. For example, I don't know what it is now, but if I was up against someone that had done the diploma, then it might have put me at a bit of a disadvantage. But sometimes, like, if you're showing your passion for this role, if you've got other things that, you know, might show that you're really interested and you've got the right skills, then especially in a clinical role, a digital role, maybe a clinical diploma isn't that important because this role is more digital. So yeah, I think, to be honest, the second EPMA job I had, I did get asked in the interview, like, oh, I've seen you haven't completed your diploma. And I was honest in the interview. I was like, I didn't think that was aligned with what I want to do. I wanted to go down the digital route. So I didn't think that would be worth my time. And actually, I remember spending time working on my presentation for my interview while my colleagues were finishing their diploma. Like, we'd literally stay back after work and I was doing the presentation and they were doing their diploma. So maybe if I did do the diploma, I wouldn't have had the energy to apply for a new job. So
yeah, so it depends on, I guess, definitely on each case, but it just shows that you were honest in what you were saying and they felt that. And it's normally people kind of relate to what they feel, what you're saying through your words, and it seems like it came across like they matched you. And so essentially you probably got the role as well. So so good. That they
I think there's a lot to say for that, for being honest, because I think in interviews there is a tendency to kind of say what you know the interviewer wants to hear, whereas if you are just categorically honest and authentic with yourself, you know, you'll either get the job that was meant for you or you won't, and it wasn't meant to be. And then I'm a really firm believer of like, everything happens for a reason. And, you know, good or bad. So, you know, it's really important to embrace that. Though I think that's amazing that you kind of baked that in, like ever since you become I feel like from what we know already, like you've just baked this in, which is absolutely amazing. And then, so after, EPMA pharmacist, did your second EPMA role, and then?
So actually, too much to talk about. I don't know which one to go into first. Like, so the first EPMA role went into my second EPMA role. They were both very different. They had different challenges. The second EPMA role was more of a co-develop, co-design project. And that was like, I felt like I was just thrown in. It was a really stressful job, but I learned so much. And it really taught me that the stressful situations in life are great because they teach you so much. Like, I feel like having those two jobs and my third EPMA role, all of them combined together is what helped me get to where I am now. So another thing I would say is, it might seem like I've jumped jobs a lot. Like, every 2 years I was in a new EPMA role, and sometimes that might look bad because you're not staying in a job for a long period of time. But for me personally, I feel like that's been a benefit to me because I've learned so much in being in like 3 different EPMA roles. After the second EPMA role, which was the co-develop, co-design, I went back to Hillingdon to do a EPMA project there, and this was joint with London North West. So it was 2 hospitals doing a joint EPMA rollout. And again, I learned a whole range of skills here as well. I don't know if you've got any questions about those bits.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I think what I was going to say is, oh yeah, I wouldn't worry. I think 2 years is a great amount of time. I used to have this rule where I'd only be in a place for 1 year, and then I would move
and then go.
Oh yeah. So I think,
and it's probably helped you in your current role, which we'll go into in a bit.
Definitely.
But jumping around, so yeah, it all made sense.
Exactly. And I
but
really liked what you said. Oh, sorry, Jen.
No, carry on.
I was just going to say, I really like what you said about, you know, taking the positive from stressful situations, because I think when you're in those situations, it can be quite demanding mentally, physically. But the fact that you have been like, no, I've got so many important skills from this point in time. I think that's amazing. Great.
Yeah, so good. We're learning so much. And then you basically left, if I'm not mistaken, to travel.
Yeah. So after.
And
sorry, carry on.
No, carry on. No, go.
Yes, I was just too excited to talk about it. I'm like cutting you off. So yeah, I left my London North West Hillingdon after both those hospitals went live. My role was permanent, so I could have stayed to maintain the system. But there was just something in me that I was like, I need to travel. I've been wanting to travel for ages. But I felt like I was always just in a job. Like as soon as you come out of uni, especially with pharmacy, you're straight into pre-reg and then you're working. And it's like, when do you take that time? Like, I don't have kids or anything like that to worry about, so like I'm a free spirit that can just travel. So I thought, this is a good time. If I don't do it now, then I don't know if I'll ever do it. So it was hard to hand in my notice this time because I actually enjoyed this role, and I actually compared it to the first time I handed in my notice at Hillingdon. It was a lot easier then because I was at a stage where I was like, okay, I don't like this anymore, I need to find something new. Whereas this role, I enjoyed it, so it was a lot more scary to hand my notice in, but I also knew I'd be loving life across the other side of the world as well. So yeah, I basically handed in my notice. I didn't know how long I was going to go for, and I think that's the part that I liked because it was open-ended. Like I didn't want to, at the back of my head, I didn't want to be like, okay, I'm going to come back in 3 months for work. Like it's just nice that it was open. So yeah, I ended up going to Bali, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, Thailand. And yeah, I loved it. It taught me to just step out of your fears, because there's so many times, like even when I handed in my notice, people at work would be like, oh, what about your job? Like, what about when you come back? And I could have easily listened to that and been like, oh wait, I shouldn't do this. And it was hard. There were times where I was like, oh my God, should I listen to that? But then I just tried to have faith over fear. So I was just thinking of the positives. And I also like to trust that everything happens for a reason and the right job will come to me when I need it. So I just went with that attitude. So it was amazing.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And you mentioned faith over fear. It's like literally the projection. So where you stand in your place now, if you can really come across and come from a place of trusting yourself and that faith that it will be okay. It's weird how the universe kind of works to kind of play with that. And yeah, there's difficult parts along the road, but it's like you trust yourself enough that it will be okay. And it seems like you did, and you left with no job lined out, and you probably had your doubts and fears in that. But I always say, like, the primary function of the brain is to keep us safe. So you probably felt that, like, the brain going 100 miles per hour, like trying to keep you safe. And then you don't know what to do. And you're like, oh, I should have a job lined up maybe. And you didn't. You went with what you felt, and look where it's taken you now. Yeah. So that kind of amazingness in feeling like the comfort in the discomfort is amazing. So yeah, so good for you.
And actually, when you said that, you reminded me when I was deciding, because it took me a few months to decide, should I have my notice in, should I not? And I would meditate on it. Like I'd literally just sit there in silence, get to like as quiet as I can with my mind, and then I'll just ask myself, like, should I go? And my inner self would be, the first time I did it, my inner self was like, yes, just do it. Things will work out. Just go. And then I came out of that meditation and I was like, okay, I have to do it. But then I was like, oh, let me meditate again, because a fear already kicked in at that point. So I was like, let me meditate again. Yeah. And then the second time it was the fear side, but that's because I literally it's like I didn't listen to my first self.
Brain took over.
Then I had fear, and then the fear kicked in. So then I actually went back and forth quite a bit with this handing in my notice. Like the amount of times I had to change my letter to change the date on it. I did it about 5 times, I think. But yeah, in the end, it it just taught me to really just listen to that inner voice. Yeah.
Yeah, because you know the answer deep within yourself. Like, no matter what external noise there is, within yourself, you truly know what is right for you. It's just being able to quiet down that noise and be able to listen. And like you mentioned, you said you meditated in it and you heard it for that split second, but then soon after, those little noises come to say, "Oh, but they said not to have a job, and what if I don't come back to a job? And what am I going to do? No one's going to employ me." But no, and as it's just a prime example of you listening to yourself and your inner voice, and it's literally guiding you to what you desire and what you truly want, because ultimately, that's where happiness lies. And yeah.
Definitely.
Amazing. It's amazing. So for our listeners who are very new to meditation, and how can they start to kind of, I guess, build both? This would be a really good question for both of you, actually, to kind of build that confidence in trusting their intuition, because I know I have an issue with that a lot, and I'm just very practical and just go. So yeah, where do we start?
So I would say to start, set a time on your phone. You can put some relaxing music or something calming, but just sit there and focus on your breath. Like you don't have to try and silence your mind, because that's not the goal of meditation. Just focus on your breathing. Even so, that could mean you could even count. So counting or focusing on your breathing, but it's something for you to focus on. And if you feel like your mind is wandering, just bring it back to your breath or your count, whichever one you're doing. And I think the key thing is awareness that your mind has started wandering. So once your mind starts wandering, the moment you become aware of it, that's when you can make a change to go back to your breathing, focusing on your breathing, sorry. But if you're not aware that your mind has had that thought, that's when you end up making a story in your head, like you have a follow-up thought and a follow-up thought and a follow-up thought, and then you think of the 100 things you need to do today. So yeah, I guess step one, to simplify, sit there, try and just focus on your breathing. If you've had a thought, be aware that you've had the thought, and then take it back to your breathing. Jin, I don't know if you've got any better advice.
No, it's exactly that. Yeah, it is about awareness, mainly, for sure. And I normally like imagine a little line in the middle, and every time my awareness goes to another thought, I just bring it back to that line again, back to my breathing. So it's like a little tunnel I imagine in my mind. But yeah, it's just to quiet down the mind. And once you quiet down the mind, you really hear loud and clear your internal voice. And that internal voice is the voice that can help you make decisions. The next one. So I use it in my day to day, even the littlest things in life. Like if it's like to do my to-do list, what shall I do the first thing? I just literally quiet my mind and see which I actually want to do, because I normally do that and then I'm on a good trajectory and then I end up doing what I need to do. But it's playing around with the little things in the day. And you know what? There's no perfection to this. There's no mastery to this, essentially. Like everyone is able to do it. And everyone is able to start anywhere with it. And yeah, you just keep learning about yourself within it.
And that's why it's also called a practice, because it's something you practice all the time. It's not just you meditate and that's it. It's a practice.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I know one of our really big questions that we always get in our kind of podcast kind of community is, so we're qualified pharmacists, and Jin's been traveling, you've been traveling, I've been off on maternity. How did you ever feel that, okay, if I'm going to go traveling for X amount of time, and in your case you didn't know when you were coming back, are you going to be out of practice? How did you kind of deal with those kind of feelings? Or did it ever cross your mind, I guess?
Yeah, I guess it, especially because I was in the digital world for about 4 years or so, my worry was that if I had to go back to being a clinical pharmacist, because that's the things that I feel like I've forgotten a little bit. Not that you could ever forget what to do. So, you know where the resources are. Like if I did have to work as a clinical pharmacist, I would know what to do. It's just like a few things I might have forgotten. But so I guess I was worried about if I had to come back to that. But at the back of my head, I also, I guess, went with a positive attitude and knowing that I would get a job that I want when I get back, not a job that I would have to do because I need money. So yeah, I think that's kind of the energy I threw out to the universe, hoping that would happen. And yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Nice. And then you landed this new job that you have now.
Yes.
So it is as a medicines consultant in Oracle. Do you want to tell us a bit about Oracle?
Yeah, sure. So
and a little bit about your role?
So Oracle is a company that supply the IT software, so the EPMA system, to NHS hospitals. They have loads of other stuff as well, but that's obviously what I work in. So my role there is kind of similar to an EPMA pharmacist, and I think that's why it was easy to transition from EPMA to Oracle, because similar skills, because you're still working on an implementation project. It's just you're no longer working for the NHS, you're working for the company. So obviously there are differences as well, but generally, like, I feel like, yeah, I was able to get that job because of all my previous EPMA experience, and I got to learn this system in my last job, so that was a thing that helped, because obviously there's loads of different systems out there, so if you know the system, it helps. So I guess another piece of advice if someone wants to work is just try and learn the system, whether that's working in a hospital that has a system that you want to work for, or
And that comes back to what you were saying earlier about you jumping roles every 2 years, essentially.
Exactly.
So you kind of learned different systems. So it kind of, when you look back, you're like, oh, actually, it's quite good I did that.
Definitely. It's like each puzzle just like fits together. Like if I did stay at my second EPMA job, which it was difficult to do, at that point I was like, oh my God, should I leave? Like I've worked so hard on this project, like should I just stay? And again, I had to meditate at that point as well, because I was like, do I go? Do I stay? And again, my inner voice told me to go. So I followed it. But yeah, if I did stay in that role, then I wouldn't be where I am now, really. So yeah.
That's amazing, honestly. It's incredible, Megna, honestly.
Yes, inspiring.
So currently, Meds Consultant at Oracle, and you also do have a passion for Ayurveda.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, so this is something I'm really excited about. But Ayurveda, so for those of you who don't know, Ayurveda is a holistic form of medicine that originated in the East like many, many years ago, like 5,000 years ago. But it still has practices that apply in the modern day world, and they can help cure or treat certain conditions. So basically, my interest started at the same phase, I think, when I was at Hillingdon. Or actually, when I went into my first EPMA role, that's when I fully went into it. But at that time, I think working in a hospital, you see patients come in multiple times, and you kind of just feel sorry for them. And I'm like, it made me more interested in prevention rather than cure, because I guess in hospital as a pharmacist, you only really get to treat them once a diagnosis is made, but you're not really there at the bit before a diagnosis. So I always thought, like, why don't we do anything then? Like, what can we do to prevent this patient even needing to come into hospital? So that's when I became interested in different forms of medicine. One of my friends actually got treated through Ayurveda, like she had IBS and she was no longer taking her meds after being on Ayurvedic treatment. And obviously being a pharmacist and understanding all the med side of things, it made me think, okay, wait, how is this possible? And it just sparked my interest to want to learn more. And I think this is why everything happens for a reason, because if I did do optometry, I think I still could have gone into Ayurveda, but maybe, I don't know, just being in a pharmacist, being in a hospital is really what sparked it for me. So yeah, I basically did a course on an Ayurvedic course while I was in my first EPMA role. So while I was in Dartford, I did this EPMA course I'm sorry, I did this Ayurvedic course,
Mm.
and I just learned so much. Like the first time I went into that room where I was being taught, it's just like I don't even know how to explain it, but I just had a moment where I was so grateful that I nearly had tears in my eyes. I was just sitting in my class thinking, oh my God, like this is what I've been after. Like, you know, when you just find something that you've been searching for. So yeah, I just felt really grateful in that moment. And ever since I've studied Ayurveda, I've just wanted to keep learning more about it. And so yeah, now I did that first course and I did another course. So now I am an Ayurvedic consultant as well. So I do that alongside work.
Oh, amazing. That is so cool. And did you have any like, because as a pharmacist, you're, you know, the conventional kind of medicine, but did you have any challenges or doubts when you decided to venture into Ayurveda? And yeah, especially as a pharmacist.
Yeah, oh my God, 100%. I forgot to mention that bit. But yes, I was even scared to tell my pharmacy colleagues I'm doing this course. So I didn't initially. I just did it without telling anyone. But I was worried. Like I was like, oh my God, are the GPHC going to tell me off? Am I even allowed to do this? Like I was literally thinking about all these things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm just doing the course for now. Like I'm not doing anything. But yeah, that was definitely a worry at the back of my head, especially at uni. I remember being taught, you know, alternative and complementary medicines don't work. There's no evidence behind it. So yeah, I did have, again, fears initially, but it's just stepping through those fears and again, following the heart.
Yeah, and you touched on that we're taught at uni that they don't combine or don't work together, essentially, because there is no research in like conventional medicines or pharmaceuticals with Ayurvedic kind of medicines. And so how did you find that, like integrating the two together? Yeah, was it difficult integrating the two because there was no evidence, so there's no research, essentially, not a lot, I'm assuming. So we're essentially told just don't mix them.
So yeah, it was hard to integrate the two. And actually, when I first did the course, I was working in a hospital at that point as a clinical. No, sorry, I was working as EPMA, but I would occasionally do weekends as a clinical pharmacist. So when I'd open up a patient's notes, I would look at everything that was written, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I could help them Ayurvedically. Like it kind of killed me inside that I couldn't do anything at that point. Like, I just had to be a regular pharmacist and give them their drugs. But deep down, I'm like, I wish I could combine this. I wish I could tell this patient, okay, take this coriander water, for example, to help your heartburn. Like, but I just couldn't. And I guess that's where I drew the line. Like, maybe I could have spoke to the patient and told them to, but that's where I felt uncomfortable. And I was like, I can't integrate these things, especially as I'm working as a pharmacist right now. So yeah, I do struggle with combining the two. Like, I do keep them very separate. So if I've got an Ayurvedic consultant, if I've got a patient as an Ayurvedic consultant, it's good to have the advantage of the med side of things. So if I do feel like something is unsafe, I'd be able to pick it up. Like it's not really regulated and stuff like that, so it does get a bit difficult.
No, it does, because it's quite scary, obviously, in terms of how beneficial it is and what it can actually cause also when you mix kind of conventional medicine with it. So just thinking, like, because people have big kind of misconceptions with Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicine. What do you think is the biggest misconception people might come up to you about with Ayurvedic medicine?
I would say, it's a difficult one. I think people think it's just based on the past and like because it's very ancient, people think, oh, it's not for the modern day world. But it's amazing to see how so much that was part of Ayurveda is now being investigated, and it's like, oh, new science thinks that there's a link between this and this. So for example, the gut and brain connection, that's, you know, something that's coming out or has come out recently. I'm trying to think of what else. There's probably a few examples, but like it's like Ayurveda knew this like years ago. So yeah, one of the things is just people thinking it's not suitable for the modern day, or the fact that it's Indian, it's originated from India. So like, I'm gonna have to eat Indian food, and it's not like that. Yeah, I don't know if I explained that very well.
No, that's amazing, because it probably is actually thinking about it. Like you think, yeah, it's so ancient, so old, so there's no place in it in the modern day. But it shows like how much we do look back at things in life now and find out how much is there. And it's just our place now to be able to have the right resources to understand it more, to learn it more, to research it more, and then apply what is necessary to this day and age now, and see how amazing it is. And like you've mentioned just now about the brain and the gut health, like percent of your immune system essentially is in your gut. So if we look after that, look how much we can do. And that's just come out like over the last few years, and we knew nothing about it. And Ayurveda touches on that. So it's nice to see how it can be combined, if done properly, and the change it can have and impact lives, as you said, your friend, for example.
Definitely.
Amazing. And it also just really shines through that, you know, you found your calling, you found your passion. And I think so many people can go through life without having that connection with their purpose. And I think it really, really shines through. And I'm just so excited to see your journey, Magna, from that, you know, and just kind of follow it on. But so as we're kind of like drawing this podcast to a close, even though I know we could talk for hours and hours.
Oh, I had a question.
Yeah.
Oh, go on then.
Do you think we have time? Can you think of just like a small little things that people can do into their day-to-day lives, like Ayurvedic wise? That's the right way to say it. That can incorporate Ayurveda in their day-to-day lives, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
Just quickly.
So the first thing is listen to your appetite. So it's really important. Like Ayurveda believes that your digestive system is like fire, Agni they call it. So it's like a fire. So you should, if you're hungry, you should eat. Otherwise that fire is going to spread throughout the body. Like there's so many times you'd be in meetings and you're so busy working that you forget you're even hungry. But really tune into your body and like just stop for a minute and be like, oh wait, I'm actually hungry, I need to eat. So listening to your body is key. It's so hard because there's so much. I'm like, okay, how do I narrow it down to 3?
But that's a good one.
Yeah.
Kind of.
That is a really good one.
For your body, because we forget that a lot. I'm just normally munching down my food and then it's finished.
Like when you're watching TV, scrolling through social media, like ideally we should be eating in a comfortable environment, just relaxed, because our body needs to focus on digestion. It's hard without explaining what Ayurveda is, like in terms of the elements and stuff. Okay, sleep at a reasonable time, like 10 o'clock by 10 p.m, because once you get past 10 p.m, we're in the pitta stage, which is the fire stage. So that's when your mind might be overthinking. Like sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about work and oh my god, the 10 things you have to do tomorrow. So that tends to happen more if you sleep past like 11, 12ish. So it's always good to sleep earlier, and then wake up early, like before or around sunrise. I know that varies depending on where you live and the time of winter, summer, etc. So sleep is important. And
that kind of just touches on like the modern, what we teach now, the modern kind of medicine or the modern way, is there's so much stuff incorporated everywhere saying sleep is so important, make sure you get enough deep sleep, REM sleep. And we're just touched on past principles in Ayurveda where they also say why sleep is important and the reasoning. I obviously don't know anything about it, but you said the pitta phase, etc. So it's in my head, it's like amazing how it can be combined. It's just being able to know both sides and then being able to combine it. But
it's like the circadian rhythm. That's basically Ayurveda has a very similar concept. Like different times of day, your different elements are the most highest. So you should do different tasks based on the time of day that it is.
Amazing.
Nice. Okay, we will close off. But it's been amazing.
It's been fantastic. And we'll have your contact. That's the question, actually. If people wanted to contact you or ask you any questions, like, are you open to that one? And secondly, how do they do?
Yes, definitely. So I'm on Instagram. My Ayurvedic business profile is bliss.by.balance, so bliss.by.balance. Or I've got a website, bliss.by.balance.com, and feel free to contact me through any of those. But yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll end on our last 2 questions that we ask everyone. So the first one is, what is the worst piece of advice someone's given you and how you've kind of made that into hopefully a positive?
Okay, I would say don't do it. And that's because it applies to so many different areas. Like, you know, when I left my job to travel, when I handed in my notice without having a job, so many people are like, oh my God, don't do it. But the reason why I want to say that is because you need to follow your heart. So if someone is saying don't do it and it contradicts what your heart is saying, then that's why it's the worst piece of advice, because you need to follow your heart rather than someone else. Because everyone, I'm just talk too much, but everyone everyone gives their opinion based on their life journey, their fears, their worries. So yes, you can use that to help you make your decision, but you need to use your own life experience, your own journey to make your own decisions.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing, because it's true. Like we all want the best for everyone, and we want the people are giving you advice because they want the best for you.
Yeah.
But they're projecting their insecurities and their fears based on their life experiences and saying what they think to essentially protect you. But sometimes that's not the same for everyone. So no, you touched on a really good point there.
Yeah.
And then one more question. So the last question is, if someone wants to go into, let's say they're a pharmacist and they want to go into Ayurveda or a different career essentially, and their passion, and they want to follow desires, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, in terms of like, say you wanted to go into Ayurveda or holistic.
Yeah, like the starting. Yeah. The 3 kind of starting principles, what should they do?
Mm-hmm.
I would say one thing is even to get treatment yourself, because that way you understand how it works, and when you see it benefit you, or maybe if you don't need treatment yourself but understand the benefits, so even just do some, I would say, research, but it's hard because some of the research out there isn't true. But yeah, even if you were to get treatment yourself, you could feel the difference within you, and that's when you feel passionate about helping others. And just doing a course. So look online, find a course, even if it's just a small course, not a proper diploma or a degree or anything, but just to get a bit of a deeper understanding, just to check that it's right for you, and you feel passionate about it. Because the worst thing is going into something that you're not really passionate about. And the next is probably just do it. Yeah, I've been thinking that, but I was like, can I say that?
Yeah.
Just do it. Like, I guess my journey has shown to kind of just do things, and if you don't like it, you can always come back. You can always quit. Like, nothing is permanent. If anything, it teaches you a lesson, and if you like it, you continue with it. So I would say just try it. There's no harm in trying.
Love that.
June, I feel like you read my mind, because I wanted to say just do it, but I was like,
I feel like you just said just, and then you mentioned the worst piece of advice. I was thinking maybe she wants to do the opposite.
But no, that's absolutely, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Megna, for coming on, and thank you for your time. This has been so, I can't even tell you how informative, and kind of, this has just been fantastic. And I know amazing, it's going to be an incredible episode when it drops. I can't wait.
But yeah, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So I guess we'll see everybody next time.
Yes.
So thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you. Bye.